Egunon, bienvenidos al Festival de Cine de Donosti. Vamos a tomar un café Lavazza con el director de la película Mother Couch, NICLAS LARSSON. Egunon, NICLAS. We were talking about, you were surprised, you mentioned that no walkouts of my film this morning, and you were surprised. Why?
I am surprised because the world premiere in Toronto 2 weeks ago, we had a lot of walkouts. I'm actually proud of my walkouts. I think it's something incredibly satisfying that you physically can't stay in your seat. Meaning, you know, the majority of films, you're kind of comfortable and you can stay and you can watch a boring film. But apparently we had a lot of walkouts in Toronto, meaning that a lot of people couldn't physically stay present in their seats, so they had to leave So I'm surprised that the European crowd doesn't walk out. But maybe, don't you think it maybe has something to do with the way we look at death and grief, maybe? That we're more, I don't know, that we're more dark, maybe. We can comprehend it in a different way.
Or maybe we like more the unexpected?
Interesting. Yeah, and we're more in tune to the unexpected.
Because I think if we talk about the film right now, not about the viewer, let's talk about the director, the creator, and about the creation, which is the film, about you and your film. It is very unexpected. That's why, I mean, in my case, I want to stay until the very end because I want to know what is going to happen next. Because that's one of the power of the film, the unexpected. So let's talk about that. And how did you approach the screenplay and the writing and how did you put together all those pieces?
It's interesting because I think life is unexpected, and if anything, stories should portray life. And I think for a long time we've seen movies. This is my first film, and the way I wanted to approach it was that for a long time we've seen movies that tell what the movie's about, and then tell exactly what you said the movie was going to be about. That's not how I see life. I don't know what's going to happen in 10 minutes from now. And I think that's, if anything, as an artist, you're supposed to portray life. And sure, a good story is a good story, and you only have an hour and a half or something, or 2 hours but still, when I watch a movie, I want to sit there not knowing where the story takes me. I want to be surprised along the way as life. And I mean, you've seen the film, and the film has its funny parts and the dark parts, exactly like life. So I was just trying to stay true to life all the time.
But true to life, I think it's like, but you have picked some moments that we all have in mind in terms of, okay, family moment. Let's talk about, you know, the mom moment, brothers moment. Okay, they are also like common places.
Right.
It's like a mix.
Yeah.
In one sense, it's very unexpected, but at the same time, you go to the places that we all know.
Right.
And that we all kind of like connect with. You know, the need of a mother to tell the son, okay, before I go, I want to let you know this.
Yeah.
The brother trying to express himself to the others, how he feels about them, or how he feels about the father.
Right.
You know, so it's like we go to through the movie and we see like specific moments that we all know or we all connect to. So it's a mix between the unexpected and the connection with something very familiar.
It's interesting you say all, because I agree with you. I think it's a universal feeling to not knowing your parents' intention of you and the upbringing and their relationship. That's a universal. No matter where you are in the world, we can all connect that our families are very complicated. That's universal, I think.
Yes.
So I just took sort of my own family traumas, and I'm like, if I stay true to my own shit, then I bet people will connect to it, you know? And going back to like the audience reactions or whatever. I think you laugh because there's a connection, and you cry because there's a connection, and even walk out of the theater because there's a connection.
Yeah. I mean, the connection is for sure because, yeah, I mean, there is no doubt. But it's interesting also that it's very extreme. The moments, some of them are very extreme. So that you force that, or for you it's natural, or it's something that you intentionally have made them like so extreme. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Because at the end of the day, I grew up with Disney movies in the 90s, you know, when everything was super melodramatic and everything was, but it was usually the Disney movies you followed animals, or you followed princesses, and you follow, and I think that the beauty of movies sometimes is that you can take reality, but you can put it in a context that are extreme. And if movies are anything, they can place you in this incredibly unfamiliar landscape. You can connect to Kubrick's 2001 Space Odyssey, right? But you don't connect to anything around it because you don't recognize, you haven't been in space, but you connect to the motion of it. And I think, if anything, movies can be that. So I just started, I was just fascinated about how can we take the scenarios into the extreme, but the emotion into something extremely familiar?
Yeah, I can feel that mix. So what you have on the screen, the result, it is something that at the very beginning, when you start to think about this movie, how has been that from that idea, that small, you know, when you start to think about an idea, and then we have this, how it is, how had it been? You know what I mean? In terms of, okay, you start to think about this idea, this film, and this is the result, because it's very particular.
Sure.
Very unique what you have created. So,
if you go back to the feeling of how it feels in certain situations, I think, no spoilers, but the end. Let's talk about the ending. I think the feeling of where David is at that point, being swallowed by a sea, by a dark sea, if you've gone through that feeling, that's how it feels. So when we talk about absurdist cinema and surrealism, right? If you just go back to the real feeling of it, then you can put whatever metaphor. Or let's talk about the knife, for example. Me and Ellen Burstyn had this incredible conversation about the scale of knives. And I asked her, what's the size of the knife you stabbed your real son with? And she went into her kitchen. We're in her apartment in New York. She went into her kitchen and she brought out all the knives. And I'm like, would you stab anyone with these knives? She's like, no, they're too big. And I'm like, okay, that's great. So we started talking about letter knives. And she's like, but they wouldn't stab, they wouldn't penetrate the skin enough. I'm like, right. So we picked a scalpel. Because a scalpel, sure, it would kill if you stab someone here, but not in the back, right? Would you even feel it in the back? And sure, that's surreal and that's crazy. But at the core of it, I think it's very, very real.
I mean, I totally understand. It's like all the emotions are there. And then they're represented by different moments that we may feel familiar, but they're so unique at the same time. So you were thinking about emotions before everything, right? Or
absolutely. You go into, I think even before I even wrote the script, I was going through similar things as David. I was dealing with grief in my life, and I was dealing with all this stuff. And I'm like, the feeling, how come I laugh one day and cry one day? What is that about, you know? So, yeah, you know, I think the film, even though it's very surreal and very unexpected, I think it's very grounded in so many ways.
Exactly. No, that's where the connection comes from.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, there is something very unique also in your film. You have a spectacular casting. Edward McGregor is amazing. Now that I'm listening to you, so Edward McGregor David is kind of like your alter ego, maybe, or
maybe,
it's a very like faithful you on the screen, maybe.
I think I'm more similar to Bella, actually.
Ah, Bella. Okay.
Yeah, like this guiding force that are just trying to make sure people are happy all the time. I think Ewan McGregor's character David. I mean, sure, I'm everybody, obviously, because otherwise I couldn't write them. But it is an incredible cast, and I'm just very lucky to be able to work with these masters. You know.
The question is how a new director face himself first day of shooting or maybe on rehearsals. I don't know if they have given you time for rehearsals because they are big stars. How do you face like directing such like legends of the film history?
Yeah.
In your film, all of them, they are incredible. How do you face that? Like you go swimming before?
Yeah, 100%. I was swimming in
like
Charlotte.
Like today?
I think you have to ask them, because I knew that I had nothing
to lose.
I can't compare myself to the masters they've been directed by. I can't. I don't know anything. So you just have to ask, how do you guys? I want this. You read what I want.
Wow.
And how can we go there together? And we build it together. So what we did, you mentioned rehearsing. What we did was I started inviting them to set 2 hours before the crew. So we had the stage, we had the furniture store alone for 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
So if we had a call at 8 in the morning, I invited them at 6. And so they all came, and we had 2 hours together just to figure out the scenes and the sets and the movements and the choreography. And then my crew came at 8. We showed the crew, and then I sent them off in makeup.
Exactly. So you were doing like all the rehearsals right before,
yeah,
like 2 hours before the call.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so we just played around, and most of those 2 hours was just about talking about.
Exactly.
Would you come in from here? Why would you say this? And it was a beautiful moment, and it was just us. So very much like theater, actually.
So, but I mean, one part is the blocking, but about like what we were saying, like the emotions, were they very connected with what you wanted, or it was hard to? How was that? Like easy for you? I guess they really help you out also in terms of.
Oh yeah, and yeah, no, I think we all knew what movie we were going to do. We knew where David and Mother was going to take us at the end, and they all knew their parts really well. And a lot of conversations we had was to how not to be over. Because explaining too much too early could ruin this film, I think. It's an exploration, it's a journey through David's mind, right? And how much is Ellen's character, Mother, holding back? When is she revealing her secrets? And how does David take them? And how much does the sibling know? So those conversations we had, and we were having a lot of fun, really, with it.
I can't tell.
Good.
I'm sure they love you. And they would love to work with you again.
I hope so.
Yes.
I was calling Ewan last night after the screening, and he was really hoping he could be here today. He wanted to bring his daughter, but because of the strike, he couldn't.
Yeah, unfortunately, because of the strike.
Right.
Thank you very much, NICLAS. We would love to keep talking, but it's time for the next interview. So we hope to see you again. Thank you very much for being with us at the festival. And buenos días, ya hemos terminado. Muchas gracias. Agur.
Thank you.